Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're sitting in today. We're excited to welcome you to our webinar on effective digital advertising on a small business budget. My name's Melissa Sheehan. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Adcelerant, and I'm joined by a couple of my colleagues, Jonathan Musio and Elizabeth Bernberg. I'll let them introduce themselves. Jonathan?
Thanks, Mel. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jonathan Musio. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer here at Adcelerant, and I'm excited to discuss some of these effective advertising opportunities on small business budgets here today. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Bernberg, and I'm the Director of Business Development here at Adcelerant. Really happy to have all of you join today. We know you guys are in the throes of a crazy Q4 and planning for 2021. We're excited to present the forthcoming information, as we do believe this will be a great opportunity to learn more about supporting these small business budgets. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Elizabeth. So just to highlight the agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about who we are. Jonathan's going to cover that. Then we're going to dive into how to make the most out of a marketing budget for a small business, tactics that generate results, and best practices for small business advertisers. We will have Q&A at the end. However, if you have a question and you don't want to forget it, feel free to put it in the Q&A box, and we'll make sure that we get to those either at the end or as we go along here. So with that, we'll get started. Jonathan.
Thanks, Mel. So a little bit about Adcelerant. For those of you who aren't familiar about Adcelerant, we are an advertising technology and digital services provider that is focused on making quality digital marketing accessible to every single business. And Adcelerant is, we're based in Denver, Colorado. Everything that we do is in Denver, Colorado. We have a team of 90 plus people, all based in Denver, Colorado. We don't outsource or farm out any of our account management, any of our operations or campaign fulfillment, or any of our reporting. Everything is done in-house. What makes us different is that we provide our partners with a full suite of software application tools to help maximize efficiencies and to help manage this aspect of their business a little bit more efficiently. Those software application tools include a proposal tool, which is a brand new proposal tool. It's currently in beta. We're going to be rolling that out to all of our partners a little bit later on this year. We also are going to be rolling out a new orders system that's going to allow our partners to easily traffic sold campaigns with a single push of a button. And then also we have our reporting dashboard, which is going to be getting an update in 2021 as well. We currently partner with about 350 different local media organizations in about 400 markets in about 5 different countries. And we're executing about 50,000 campaigns on behalf of those advertisers or on behalf of those partners. And a little bit about Adcelerant, we were just recently recognized as being on the Inc. magazine Inc. 5000 for the 3rd year in a row. We actually peaked at number 83 on that Inc. magazine Inc. 5000 list in 2018. And we are the only preferred programmatic solution for the local media consortium. Next slide, Mel. So what we do for our partners, we provide them cutting edge technology. I talked a little bit about some of those software tools that we give to our partners to increase those efficiencies and to help them easily sell some of these exotic boutique digital marketing services that complement their owned and operated solutions. You can see some of those different platforms that we provide those managed services for on the bottom right, which are the entire ball of wax: programmatic display, pre-roll video. We have a full suite of location-based targeting capabilities that we can help represent as your own to local advertisers. We have a full suite of video capabilities as well, including OTT and pre-roll video and YouTube, as well as a full suite of Google capabilities like local SEO, organic SEO, website development. And we just want to make it easier for our partners to go out there and sell some of these more exotic boutique targeting capabilities. And we're able to accomplish that with our team of account managers and our team of campaign managers, as well as some of those different tools that we provide them as well.
Thanks, Jonathan. We're going to get started today on our topic talking about how to make the most of a small business marketing budget. As our partners, we're here for you to help you navigate based off of the thousands of campaigns that we're seeing and the hundreds of sales calls that we are on every single month in order to make sure that you have kind of a well-rounded idea of what's working in other markets is similar to yours and what's working with industries and small businesses that you might run into as well. So we're going to start with really putting you as the partner salesperson into kind of the shoes of the customer. That's going to really help you understand going into your CNA how to talk and what questions to ask your advertisers. We're going to talk about setting goals and measurements for success, aligning with the right solutions, how to review monthly analytics and recommendations, and then gain agreement and adjustments to plan for future months of the campaign. So let's dive right in to that customer journey. Regardless of where you're at in your digital marketing knowledge, you know more than you think you do because you consume digital advertising and marketing every single day. And so one of the most powerful things that we like to encourage our sellers to do is really put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Understand how those customers are communicating and why they might buy from your advertiser. And that can really give you a powerful idea of what questions to ask, what holes to look for when you're talking with an advertiser. And we'll go over just a couple of examples here. Think about that real estate journey. So we're going to use our fictitious couple, Kevin and Jessica. They're busy parents and they're looking for a new home because they've got a growing family. We know they're looking for a new home because they've been on real estate websites. They've been reading about interest rates. We know that they could be really good customers for some real estate brokers because they're currently renting. They are in their 30s. They have a high household income and 2 small kids. And think about where Kevin and Jessica might be in that search. Think about yourself. If you've ever bought a home, what did you do first? You might have Googled, you might have read an article first and then started doing research. But regardless, your journey likely either started or was quickly put online. And that's the power of digital advertising. So thinking like that real estate customer, think about the different places that they might go and whether they would encounter your local advertisers along that path. A similar example, Sam and Casey. These are actually 2 people that we know. They recently bought a house and they want to upgrade their furniture, decorate the new space, make sure that it looks just the way that they want it. So they've been searching for ideas on how to decorate, but they aren't really sure where to start looking or what to budget. We know that they're good customers because they recently purchased that house, and that Casey's been on home decor websites, looking at things like sectional couches, searching for different furniture items. And we're going to find them on those sites, reading local news because they're really tuned in with what's going on these days, streaming TV. They might be on Google, on their laptops. So think about whether you're buying a house or whether you're, buying some furniture for that house you just bought. There are different places that you're going to go along that journey as a customer. And if you could put yourself in the shoes of your advertiser's customer, it'll give you powerful insight walking into the door to really figure out what those customers have gone through and where they might find your advertiser on their path. And that's really the crux of what we're talking about today. And we'll refer back to whether you have seen this in a triangle or, a pyramid. This is our customer journey because every customer has to go through this journey before they make a purchase. First, they have to identify that they have a need and they have to become aware of what's out there. If they figure out they want to buy a house, how do they know who to use or who to talk to next? So the awareness is a really big place where customers need to be engaged. And we've aligned this with a lot of the digital products that we know drive these specific actions, like streaming TV and OTT, programmatic display, newspaper and other news and information websites, print advertising, television advertising. Those are all awareness builders. And as you know, those customers move into that interest phase, you know, they've become aware, they know they have a need, they've looked around online and seen some of that advertising. They're beginning to form an opinion. And so really using some of these next products like device ID, video, social, email, are going to help them kind of pull down greater into the funnel. And then the decision process. You know, what do a lot of us do right before we make a purchase? Well, we might search for something, but there are different types of searches that you'll go through. And you have been to those websites and we get that retargeting added. That finally puts us over the edge. But thinking about the customer journey can really help you figure out, are there gaps in that advertising strategy for the advertisers you're working with? And, you know, do you only see them on TV? Because if you only see them on TV, somebody's driving a lot of awareness, but if you search for them and they're not found, but their competitors are, that awareness might be wasted. And so we're going to talk about not only the funnel of our customers, but Jonathan's going to touch a little bit more on the funnel of your advertisers and where they're most interested.
Thanks, Mel. Yeah, I think this is my favorite slide that we have in the presentation here. And I think that this mapping of your customer journey and the sales funnel is a great way through the needs analysis and the relationship that you guys have with your local advertisers to understand what their goals and objectives are. And there could be multiple overarching goals and objectives for different campaigns and initiatives that they might be having. So I think this is a great way to kind of map out what products and solutions might make sense to accomplish whatever those goals and objectives are. And then also each one of these different goals and objectives, like whether they're awareness, interest, decision, action, loyalty, they all have corresponding KPIs that we want to track in order to justify and substantiate success. Another great thing about the sales funnel, it's a great way to set up and control expectations with the advertiser as well. And I'm just going to kind of give an example of a recent advertiser that had a really successful campaign. And we used the sales funnel as a way to kind of educate them as to why we were making suggestions on the strategy that we were going to develop for them. This is a case study involving a dental implant company. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar through your prospecting that dental implant companies, first of all, it's very expensive service in order to get full dental implants on both crowns, on both the top and bottom part of your mouth. And it's also a very competitive industry. And when we met with this advertiser, they had mentioned that they really, really wanted to be found at the bottom of the funnel, and they wanted to have customers take action. And they specifically wanted to be found at the bottom of the funnel for this keyword term, if people were searching for it, called all on four. I don't know much about all on four. I'm not in the dental industry, but I am told that it is a technique with the dental implant industry that can allow people who are getting dental implants to get these teeth done in a day, to have these things done in a day if they wanted to. And I said, yeah, absolutely, Mr. Advertiser. We can make sure that you're found on Google and those search engine result pages for people doing searches for all on four. But I asked him, I said, what are you doing to create demand in the marketplace? It's not like someone wakes up and just does a Google search for what is all on four without having some idea as far as what it is to begin with. So we made the recommendation that they needed to create awareness. They needed to generate interest. They needed to create that demand in the marketplace for this keyword term, all on four. So our strategy was a full funnel strategy that included programmatic targeted display ads targeting people that were 55 years and older that had dentures, that also had a high household income. And the creative that we used was all about all on four. We pretty much branded that keyword term all on four. You know, what is all on four? Learn about teeth in a day. Do you have dentures? Are you looking for permanent solution? And what we found is that when people were delivered that display ad, they wouldn't click on that ad. They would go to Google and do a keyword search for what is all on four. And at that point, we had that Google ad, that paid search ad, populate at the top of the search engine result pages. And thus, we were able to track and monitor the effectiveness of that display ad in terms of influencing search results and creating that demand in the marketplace that they were looking for. Month over month, we saw increases in terms of number of conversions tied to that all on four keyword term. because of the fact that we included that display campaign at the top of the funnel to generate the results that are commensurate with what that advertiser's expectations were. So I think that as you guys are developing these relationships, prospecting for business, and understanding exactly who the advertiser's target audience is and who their ideal client profile is, you can start the process of mapping that customer journey and identifying how we're going to be able to target those customers in different parts of the sales funnel to produce success, measurable success. So some of the things that we like to encourage a lot of our partners to incorporate into their prospecting styles is interacting with the client's website, replicating that customer experience on the website, going through the entire process of maybe filling out a form and seeing what that form fill looks like. Is it asking for too much information? Does it populate a thank you page if you do submit a form request successfully? Is it able to collect leads? Is it able to harvest some of that data that is going to be so popular and can be used extensively within the digital space? What kind of tracking are we able to find and identify? I know there's a lot of tools that we use in the digital marketing space that help out with prospecting. One of the tools I like to use is called Ghostery. Ghostery is an extension that you can install on your Chrome browser to identify what kind of tracking pixels a website has installed on it. And thus you can develop some inferences to determine maybe what kinds of campaigns they have set up currently as a result of that. We can also find out how it is that they're finding customers today. What are they doing? What's their digital marketing efforts now? What's their traditional media efforts now? Maybe we can identify that through our own prospecting. Maybe we have passed by a billboard of the advertiser. We can get an idea as far as this based on our prospecting on that opportunity and building that informational gathering statement. And then is there an opportunity for upsell or to sell customers more, to increase the lifetime value of a customer? That's something that's extremely important nowadays. It's not just if that customer is going to be buying more from you, but are they going to be able to refer some of their friends and people within their network to your business as well. So I think that being able to ask these poignant questions during that actual meeting in the needs analysis, but also what kind of information you're able to uncover during that prospecting to develop that informational gathering statement, I think is going to help align goals and what kinds of platforms we should pick and choose to accomplish those goals. And then next is to identify exactly what kind of KPIs or what kind of conversions we are looking to track as a part of this. If we look at the top of the funnel is awareness, and it's branding and awareness, and it's typically we use less targeting as possible. And there's platforms that we use that can cover a variety, a wide range, broad audience. So you're just trying to get in front of people's eyeballs. So you're not going to, for an awareness campaign, we wouldn't recommend looking at form fill conversions as a KPI that we want to measure for success. We're actually going to be looking at impressions delivered. Did we get in front of an audience? Did someone see this ad? That would constitute a conversion for an awareness campaign. But you can see there's a lot of different conversions and KPIs that we can track from a digital standpoint, including form fills, people that fill out a form, people that are downloading information, white papers, ebooks, which are extremely popular, podcasts, any type of content that might be on an advertiser's website now. New users, how many people are actually visiting your website for the very first time? This is stuff that we can track through digital marketing, through Google Analytics, all the way down through phone calls and pages per visit. There's so many different KPIs that we can track. We just want to make sure that we are matching the KPI to what the goal and the objective is and which platform we are using to accomplish that advertiser's goals and objectives.
That's exactly right, Jonathan. And, after you have really had that conversation, starting with that customer journey, aligning that with the sales funnel and matching it with the needs of your advertiser, you are likely having a conversation about budget. And this is sometimes a conversation, especially for, newer sellers, that it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but don't define it ahead of time. A small business budget is a relative term. Don't limit yourself before you walk in the door and you have these conversations with your advertisers. I've been on sales calls where I've sat across from somebody who says, well, we have a really small budget. It's pretty small. And we know we're not going to compete with some of our larger competitors. And I'll ask, okay, well, tell me a little bit about what your budget is and how you set that. And they'll say something like, it's only $15,000 a month, which is a huge budget for a lot of businesses. And so make sure that you're asking the questions that'll help you not only uncover what their budget might be, but also what their opportunity is. What they're investing in is going to bring them a return. And so if you need, start with what they sell. What is the average order value of a customer for either their product or their service? And what's the lifetime value? Once they buy, how often do they buy throughout the year? Also, a good question to ask is, what is your capacity to sell more? How many services or products are you selling in a given month? And how many would you like to sell in a given month? Ask about conversion rates. For every 10 people who come on the website, fill out a form, or make a phone call, or walk through the door, how many turn into a customer? Knowing each of these things can help you build the foundation to a strong conversation about return on investment and a strong conversation about the right budget to fit their goals. Once you align the right products to meet those outcomes, making sure that you're driving people to those actions that are going to be meaningful for that business, make sure that you're agreeing on expectations. And what I mean by that could be, okay, Mr. Advertiser, so if we have X amount of budget and you know that for every time you have a customer that they spend $1,000 with you, then we should expect that we can probably have a certain amount of people based on some of our conversion rates. And this is a conversation that we can absolutely help you with. I'll give you a quick example. We worked with a mattress retailer recently, and he was running a device ID campaign. And, it wasn't a large budget. I think it was in the $600 to $800 a month range. And so we walked through the door. We'd been running a couple of months, and, we had our results and of how many people actually came into his location during the first few months of that campaign. And, we knew some of the answers to those questions and we knew what we thought of the results, but it's always one of those conversations where you're kind of nervous walking in. And we told him, well, 15 people came through the store in the first couple months of the campaign. And he said, wow, that's amazing, because I know for every 10 people that come in, 7 of them are going to buy, and they spend an average of $1,000. And it ended up being a huge return on his investment. It was 3 or 4 times what he had spent. And those are the types of conversations that can really set you up for success. Whether it's a small advertiser, you want to right size and make sure that you don't overspend for somebody who doesn't have the budget, or whether it's somebody who just doesn't know that they have the budget and that the results will yield something amazing. So make sure that you have those types of conversations about and around budgets. And then don't be afraid to embrace the unknown. And this is something that we talk about, too infrequently. Digital advertising gives real-time customer feedback. That's one of the reasons it is so valuable. Not everything's going to work the way you expect. And so make sure that you are telling your advertiser, we're going to set up this campaign, we're going to learn from it, and it's going to change, and we're going to optimize, and make sure that they understand that ahead of time. You want to encourage them to try multiple creative messages, to understand that some audiences are going to have higher engagement than others, and that you're going to partner together to learn from the campaign as it runs. That's why we encourage people to sell campaigns that are 90 days, 6 months, or even, longer, because set those expectations. The results are going to build upon themselves. If you give up too quickly, then you have wasted your budget. But if you have the roadmap in mind and you know that you're in it for the long haul to keep improving that campaign, the results can be really significant. Elizabeth's going to talk next about some digital tactics to kind of align with what we've talked about so far.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. And really just to echo, everything that Jonathan and Melissa have really laid out in these initial slides, it is all about that, that full sales funnel and making sure that we're putting together a tactic and a strategy that is always in alignment with the goals and objectives of the advertiser. And it goes back to addressing all the questions that they answered in that client needs analysis, and really using and leaning into understanding that customer journey as the roadmap to create a successful campaign strategy. So with that, why digital? Why is digital advertising more important than ever? And I think we all can see, especially since the onset of COVID, none of these trends in this screenshot are really kind of surprises to us. It's been incredibly unfortunate for so many of our legacy media partners and team members that high hopes for 2020, like we all had, with really creating a stakehold on that core revenue. With the onset of COVID, it kind of threw us all for a loop, and we have seen some unfortunate drastic decreases in core assets that advertisers have wanted to leverage day in and day out and have typically gone to. The flip side of that coin is on a positive note. Our behaviors from a consumer standpoint, they have changed more drastically in the past 9-10 months than they really ever have before. We are consuming more content online, streaming more content, hearing more content through the internet than ever before. That has in turn impacted and increased, or at least stabilized, digital marketing efforts such as social media, online video, display, and search. So being able to position some of these tactics to your advertisers in a full funnel strategy that keeps them top of mind and engaged with their local consumers who are still willing, ready, and able to spend money and need to spend money on products and services, digital tactics are where you're going to need to be. And really, these next few slides speak to exactly that sales funnel and taking the awareness piece and kind of moving down the sales funnel with regards to the corresponding tactics that speak to that area within the sales process. And it starts, of course, out with filling the funnel with targeted programmatic and display advertising. We're all pretty much familiar with branding and awareness being the core fire to start a marketing campaign. You've got to create that buzz, that sizzle about your advertiser's brand for their product and service. This is how we're going to help you do that and align your advertiser to a specific and qualified target audience that represents the characteristics and the quote unquote buying persona of their customers. And the targeting segments are practically limitless. Our goal with targeted display, of course, is to always reach the most qualified audience, no matter on what device they're on at any time during the day, and the right consumer, and on any website. And of course, these targeting tactics, we really combine a culmination of all of these strategies here, from demographic targeting, geographic, of course, behavioral and psychographic, and contextual targeting to get that refined audience in front of your advertiser's marketing plan. Moving further down the funnel, we get into some really kind of sexy, cool, creepy display services. And really, device ID targeting is the crux of that. It's a location-based targeting solution that enables us to target devices with display or video ads that were in a physical location in the past. And we're able to go as far back as 12 months or as recently as 3 days ago. And the interesting thing about device ID targeting, it's kind of an anomaly in terms of where this platform and tactic resides within the sales funnel, because depending on how you activate and utilize this technology, maybe you're conquesting and you're wanting to bring in a bunch of new customers from fellow competitors in the marketplace into your advertiser's business. Or you might be wanting to have more of a shotgun and strategic approach and leverage CRM data or a direct mailing list or subscriber list and connect with every single device that is attached to that home address. Device ID really enables us to have the flexibility of connecting again with that right person at the right time, but being obviously also more strategic in where they reside in the sales funnel. It's been a huge tactic that has been, again, leaned on heavily during COVID-19. It's created advertisers to create their own unique audiences and connect with people who were maybe at their location prior to the lockdown and prior to the shutdown. And of course, using device ID in a pandemic, you can see here, there are a multitude of ways to leverage this technology to support your local advertiser. You might want to be in front of your current customer base. Remind them that you're still there. You're their local liquor store. You're their local bakery, and they might now have new hours or curbside pickup. It can also help support to earn market share. Let's maybe take on more of that conquesting strategy and approach and bring about more business to your local advertiser. Appealing to your neighborhood, owning your backyard, and really being that go-to place for the products and services that you know your neighborhood consumers are looking to be purchasing. Prime locations, always a big place to connect with a lot of people going still to grocery stores, to places where they haven't been deterred given the pandemic. Let's give ourselves the opportunity to connect with that qualified audience as well. And of course, always keep in mind, precautions, in terms of the creative that you're putting out there for your advertiser. You always want to be sure that everything is keeping the customer safe, keeping employees safe, and ideally keeping business moving forward. This is pretty darn cool in terms of the conversion metrics tied to device ID targeting. Foot traffic attribution. So your advertisers who are looking more for that conversion-based solution, and they want to quantify the amount of people that have come into their brick and mortar location. With device ID campaigns, we are able to actually show that true ROI based on every single every single impression that was served to an actual device. We're going to be able to then reflect those devices that then came into those points of conversion, all within this report. So it's incredibly insightful, and you're able to really showcase to your advertiser their marketing dollars at work. You're also able to leverage the foot traffic attribution for any business that collects a home address at the point of service or sale. We can match back to the campaign and show whether or not someone saw their ad. So again, another great question to ask in your client needs analysis. Are they collecting any of this information at the point of sale? Moving on to email. Email definitely is more of a mid-funnel informational consideration phase tactic. It's a fantastic platform for new digital advertisers because everyone pretty much is well aware of the general functionality of email. I might be dating myself, but I did have an AOL account at one point. I'm sure many of you did, or many of your advertisers have. So it's not so daunting as trying to explain programmatic display or streaming television. Email is pretty much an easy way to get them involved in the digital space. Our database has over 140 million double opt-in subscribers and really enables us to connect with a opted-in subscriber base that meets the specific targeting requirements from your advertiser. And they're then able to really showcase all of the information about their brand, their product, their service to this specific and qualified audience. And it's used more so as a prospecting tool because this is going above and beyond the email database that your advertiser already might have internally. Last, well, second to last, my goodness, but not least, you want to be found. And these small businesses in the marketplace, especially now, and especially if they're in a competitive industry, they want to be found when prospects are looking for them and they are ready to convert, they're ready to purchase, they're ready to move forward. That's when local SEO becomes a huge part of your advertiser's marketing strategy. This is really based on Google My Business, where we focus on off-site optimization. And your advertiser is going to be able to put some really pertinent key information about their business. What are their hours? Do they offer delivery or curbside? What are the reviews right now? This is fantastic information to immediately show someone who is right then and there looking for that particular product or service. And especially again, for those really competitive industries, restaurants, let's see, oh gosh, liquor, my goodness, as well as even anything pet related. This is going to be a huge deciding factor that can help impact that decision from a consumer standpoint. And all of the local SEO strategies, these are also long-term strategies to have in place. This is not a 1 month and done or 3 months and done. This is a great ongoing way for us to, again, maintain presence to that specific audience and for your advertiser to have that relevancy when people are making their searches online. Last but not least, Chat Widget. I absolutely adore this platform because it does give an immediate point of entry from a consumer to connect with a website, with a brand, with a business, all online. And it helps start the conversation with your consumers who are visiting your advertiser's website. It's a 24/7, full day, all day, every day online solution. And it immediately responds to consumers who have engaged in your advertiser's voice, in their own terminology, how they would essentially respond to to a consumer who they might have just addressed on a phone call. This is a fantastic solution that also can help build up your advertiser's database because you can ask for their phone number, their email address, and all of that initial information is immediately sent over to a point of contact within your advertiser's business so they can immediately start engaging with that consumer and ideally close the sale and keep moving business forward.
Hey, Elizabeth, I just want to add a couple of things here. I think the last two tactics with local SEO and the chat widget, I think that those provide tremendous amount of ROI for local advertisers. I look at local SEO as the equivalent of paying to keep your electricity and your lights on in your business. Is that important and is that crucial to be found when people are doing searches for your services or your type of business from a mobile device? And we see just tremendous amount of conversion, tremendous amount of ROI tied to that local SEO product. And from a chat widget standpoint, I know that we use chat widget on the AdCellerant website, and it's a great way to track leads and automate, kind of follow up with people who are entering information on that chat widget. It's just got tremendous amount of conversion. It's just huge in terms of conversion. We've incorporated this into our marketing strategy towards the end of last year, and we've harvested a lot of leads, from the website, off the website, from that chat widget. So I think that those two platforms are tremendous for small advertisers.
That's right, Jonathan. Thank you. And thank you, Elizabeth. Not only are they tremendous lead drivers, they're also really affordable for that small business. And so we're going to talk next about some best practices, some actual campaigns that small businesses have run with us. But before we jump into those campaigns, we just wanted to outline for you as our media partner, the industries that are advertising and that are growing. We've been keeping track of orders for advertising campaigns since April, but here's a glance at the last 3 months. We've seen automotive pick up. We've seen cannabis, if that's something that you guys are interested. Education has been huge. Healthcare has tripled. And retail has more than doubled over the last 60 days. So in a lot of categories, you can also see home services remains really stable right now. It's been high even since April. We've started to see home services. So focus in on a lot of these industries. Put yourself in their customer shoes. Use that sales funnel, some of these tactics. And we'll talk next a little bit more about some advertising campaigns for small businesses that we've seen a lot of success with.
Yeah, so mortgage lending, this is a category that we've seen an increased amount of orders and campaigns come through from our partners because of the fact that mortgage rates are at an all-time low because of the pandemic. And this mortgage lender case study was to this particular advertiser wanted to increase traffic to their website, and they really wanted to kind of develop specific pieces of content that supported all the different terms associated with all the different types of loans that they provided. And that once they started talking about that, we immediately identified that this was going to be an SEO play, and we wanted to develop recommendations and strategies as to how it is that we were going to create content, blog content, to educate consumers about the power of obviously mortgage and some of the benefits with this particular lender, as well as some of the trends that we were seeing in the industry and how it was impacted by COVID. And I want you to know that this advertiser spent $3,100 a month for this SEO campaign. And for SEO, we don't typically execute, well, we don't execute campaigns that are less than 6 months long. So this was a 6-month campaign at $3,100 a month. And we saw that there was a huge boost based on the content that we generated. And they were able to close a number of different loans tied to these campaigns. And we were just extremely satisfied with the results that we were able to see by just, again, understanding what those clients' goals and objectives are, what the opportunities were because of COVID, and making those recommendations with the strategy tied to SEO and leveraging Sam Rahimi on our SEO team to really put together a customized suite of solutions on the SEO side that we're going to accomplish this client's goals and objectives.
Thanks, Jonathan. Retail is also a great category. As I said, it's growing. We worked with a retailer. They had a budget of about $6,500 or $3,250 per month. And this play was a video device ID, utilizing the device ID technology to see how many folks came into their locations. They were able to derive a 20x return on their spend, knowing how many people, what the cost is per the visit, and how many unique visitors went into their locations earlier this year. So making sure that you set those expectations, you really talk with those customers about what their KPIs are and what the value is when somebody comes in their door. That's really important.
Here's a cool case study for doggy daycare. This particular advertiser really wanted to increase the number of conversions they were able to get from a dog boarding and a daycare service perspective. We identified a bunch of competitors, a bunch of different locations where their ideal client profile would be congregating. And as such, we developed a full funnel strategy that included a bunch of display products, including programmatic display. We included pre-roll video as well as including device ID. Device ID was targeting competitors, dog parks, pet food stores, those types of locations. And then we also layered in a paid search campaign so we can capture some of those leads that they were able to generate from the demand that they were creating at the bottom of the funnel. And the results have been tremendous. We have seen through our device ID capabilities, we're able to measure point of interest attribution in terms of how many devices and how many visits of those devices we've been able to track. And we see that we were able to track 3,400 visits across 650 unique devices since May of this year. And what we found, though, is that this advertiser, they committed to a longer commitment in terms of time frame for running these digital campaigns. They understood that building equity was something that was going to be important, especially if they were going to be targeting the devices of some of their competitors. They understood that it's not going to be a single display ad that that person was going to see at their competitor's location that was ultimately going to encourage them to become one of their customers. They needed to build equity with these audiences. And as such, they committed to a longer time frame campaign. And I think they benefited tremendously off of the strategy, as well as the equity that they were able to achieve with this audience over the extended period of time.
Exactly. And this customer only spent $1,300 a month. And so, I know the first two examples were in the $3,000 range, but they had a lot of success knowing what their business and their average order value was. It was a good win for them.
Awesome. Thank you. And, continuing on with, the local businesses, of course, home services, talk about a competitive industry and category. This case study here was really kind of to the point in terms of what the goal of the client, had in mind. Form fills. They wanted to really focus on this short-term free installation estimates that they had out in the marketplace. So immediately our recommendation was, of course, tied to direct response. Let's think about bottom of the funnel. Let's talk about search engine marketing and targeting customers who are actively searching online for these particular home service solutions. So we strategically bid on selected keywords. We wanted to ensure that we had an enhanced efficiency around the client's budget. It was a $3,200 budget, but given the nature of this competitive industry, the cost per click in search engine marketing is extremely high. So we really had to have a very precise strategic methodology in terms of connecting with the right targeted keywords to ensure that we were going to really get those engagements and get those form fills. The results, client generated 46 conversions over a short 4-week campaign run with those form fills, as well as phone calls. So really, from timeline perspective for all of these different case studies, while longer, of course, is better, we know that so many of these small businesses, they might have specific pushes or campaign pushes that have a shorter time frame to meet those goals and objectives. And we definitely would be able to help them meet those goals and objectives with a strategy such as search engine marketing for a direct response campaign.
Great job, Elizabeth. This last one is for the automotive category, and utilizing again device ID. This particular advertiser obviously keeps track of car sales and service, and they track their customers and utilize their home address as a data point in their database. So what they did is they gave us their CRM data for auto service and sales. And we were able to match back 110 service visits rather, to the campaign, and 22 sold vehicles during the campaign. Again, this one had a budget. It was split between service and sales, about $1,000 each. They've been running for several months. They actually increased their budget to about $1,500 per tactic. And so now they're running about $3,000 a month and seeing some really great results month after month.
I think it's important to understand, guys, if you have any requests for any additional case studies for a variety of different verticals, we have our account management team that can absolutely source some of those materials for you, but they're also available within our learning management system called Knowledge Base on our UI.marketing platform. There's a tremendous resource library with a ton of case studies in the case study library. I think that we're over 50 case studies right now that we've established within that library. We're constantly adding more and more and more. So please feel free to request some through your account manager. Find some on the UI.marketing platform, and you can search some for yourself.
Great point, Jonathan. To recap, we know from a lot of different research, shoppers are going to buy early, and they're going to want to buy local. And so making sure that you're in front of those advertisers now, that they are planning to start their campaigns in the next week or two, is really important. So steps to take now: map that journey for your advertisers. Do that prior to the needs analysis in order to offer value and insights that'll really help you stand apart. Align with your advertisers' goals, align those with the right products. Make sure that the product mix makes sense for what they want to accomplish. And that's where that sales funnel comes in. And then help them with the solutions that we know work. Focus on the industries that are thriving or doing well in advertising during the pandemic, and discuss those long-term goals and strategies. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour. We're going to stay around for a few questions. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the Q&A box. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. And please don't hesitate to reach out to either Jonathan, Elizabeth, or myself if there's anything that we can do to help you. We will email the deck and the recording of this webinar at the conclusion. If you have any questions or follow-up, please also reach out to me or to Jonathan or to Elizabeth. I don't see any more questions in the chat or in the Q&A box. So we'll say goodbye for now, but thank you so much for attending and have a wonderful day.